also following the protocols with my line manager, with the HR. Nothing was out of line. And that's why my rating as a performer was not downgraded in any way. However, there was the disappointment, and it's okay as well as we climb the ladder to accept that disappointment is real. It's okay to accept that there is stress, there is frustration, all those things we wrote on Menti, those negative comments, they are real. We don't want to gloss over them to say that, oh no, you shouldn't be feeling that way. You should be grateful you've got a job at this time when our unemployment levels in South Africa are so bad. No, 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 no. It's all right. It is all right. And it's good to actually pause, take stock, be aware of where you're at in terms of your emotions, understand how that resonates with your values, understand the action that you need to take, because we are accountable for ourselves here. I cannot change the leadership. I cannot change my manager who might have been nervous of maybe challenging this and that. I understand that. I understand the dynamics, no matter where we're at, because those politics, they exist in every environment, any mechanisms where we've got humans, in family meetings, in family gatherings, at funerals, at weddings, we do get that political play that influences how things get done and who gets to dictate how things are done, who's got the authority. That exists. That hierarchy exists everywhere, and authority is exuded in different ways as long as we're working with humans. So that was my experience. How then do I navigate that hiccup or that roller coaster that feels like it's taken my career down when it was on a very much upwards trajectory? So the first thing is, I thought to myself, I really would like to understand how I could navigate this kind of dynamic, especially when it is a senior leadership level. So I spoke to somebody in the organization, because I had chosen not to leave the organization because I actually enjoyed the organization. I did not despise the organization. I was, through being able to play back the actual details of the scenario with ICAS, someone independent, somewhere safe, because obviously something this sensitive is not something that should be online or in the media or spoken out openly in terms of the finer detail or the names. But I was able to speak it out in a safe place and deal with my emotions. And then I realized, hold on, I like this organization that I'm working for. So whilst I'm in this organization, I would like to understand how other leaders deal with such things. So, as I mentioned to you, spoke to somebody and say to them, listen, I'm looking for a new mentor, but I would like a mentor in a very senior role, possibly the highest role in this organization. But I am just Roz, and I'm not sure if they would have time for me, because I understand they've got the whole world on their shoulders being at that level. And the friend really been fantastic. She actually went and said, you know what, I've got, I work with the following senior chief officer. I will introduce you. I was like, really? I didn't expect a meeting. I got a meeting with the chief officer. And in the first session with the chief officer, he asked me, so what would you like from me? And I said, I would like mentorship. I'd like to meet with you every once a month for a few months, if it's possible with you. And I expected him to say, you know what? I do not have the time. Can I ask one of my team members to contact you? The chief officer said yes. And that led to something else that I learned, because I had to ask them later on, why did you say yes? Especially when one day they canceled most of their meetings, and then my mentoring meeting with them was actually moved to another time of the day. And then they came to the session and said, I'm so sorry, Ross, I had to move our session because we've got a major issue in the organization. So everything has been cleared off my calendar. And I said, okay, so why did you come and meet with me? because in the hierarchy of things, I'm sure you've got more critical things. You know what you say to me? You say to me, his value is that it's important to give and share and learn, because when he sits with me, when I ask some questions, when I play back scenarios to him, where I'm asking for guidance in terms of how I can deal with it better, it actually allows him to think and also grows him. And that quite shocked me, because I felt like I am here and this person is here. I don't even know if you can see my hand, in terms of their seniority, their education, their knowledge, their skills, their experience, everything. But it was their value that brought them into the session for me to be actually able to have the conversation with them, to learn with them. How then can I approach a situation like that going forwards and so on? And I just want to share with you that it was really fantastic to be in a session where they say to me, you know what? Sadly, these things happen. Next time, don't be afraid. You didn't do anything wrong in that scenario that I shared with you. You did everything right by the book. But next time in future, don't be afraid of actually choosing who you speak to get assistance in the organization, even if it is going over your manager's head. I'm going to leave you with that to ponder on. All right. So what are your values? I'm not going to read the slide out to you, otherwise we would be here for a bit too long. But what I want to challenge you is, do you know your values? And for whatever was written on that Menti slide that where you shared your thoughts, what values led to you putting that word that you put? If it was boredom, if it was exciting, what in your career right now, what are your values that is coming through that you've been able to actually tap into? So it's important that you know what is driving you to this point of satisfaction, because those are the things that you need to look out for as you navigate your career, whether you're going to be going laterally via spider web, whichever way you're going to navigate your career. Have an awareness of the values that are important to you. Also have an aware of the values that do not resonate with you. Because why? It allows you to know when you're uncomfortable. It also allows you to have the upper hand in terms of understanding, how can I influence this if I do want to influence this? Okay. It's now 10 o'clock, according to my time. I would like to check in, please, and maybe Colleen, you can give me some guidance. Do we continue? Do we take a 5-minute leg stretch? I'm still all right, but I would like to just check in with everybody.
We continue. Jump into questions. Any questions for Roz or any thoughts? Ashley says, what can you actually do practically when you find yourself with a toxic leader? Is exit the only option? Roz, did you hear that?
Yes, is exit the only option? Sorry,
Yeah.
Colleen, I thought you were speaking more, so I was just waiting to listen in. Exit is not the only option. And as you saw from my situation, I actually had to go back and actually introspect, pause and reflect, understand yourself, understand your values. And then that informed my decision about not exiting. A lot of my colleagues, of course, did exit. And that is fine, because that was their season, that was their journey. That was their career ladder. But the ladder that was right for me was that I was not done with that organization yet. And I actually realized that if I leave the organization now, I might wonder in 3 years' time. I might work somewhere else in 3 years' time and then look out for another vacancy back at that organization, because I'm still curious about what it's like to work in that division and that division and that division. So I felt like I'm not done yet with this organization. And the power as well of getting the guidance and the right support is that then one person or two people's toxicity does not have to color the whole experience of the whole organization. Sometimes if you have a bad experience, for example, all right, I don't know if there's anyone from Vodacom here. I've been with Vodacom for 25 years, so this is not a negative example. So for example, what I want to say is, if you have a bad experience with a Vodacom representative, you might feel like, oh, I never want to work with Vodacom ever again. I'm going to move to another provider. In that instance, for me, in that negative environment, I chose to stay on because I realized, hold on, that is that leader. That leader is there. That leader has not been reprimanded publicly, because that would have been more satisfying for me if they had been reprimanded publicly. They've not been demoted. Behind closed doors, I am aware that there was, what do they call it? They got a little, you know, but it was not the public, you know, that satisfying takedown that would have made me feel better, made me feel like, oh, this organization really cares for its people. It wants to do something. And you know what? I understand why the organization didn't do anything publicly, even though the situation was severe. It's because there were many excellent things about those leaders that led to them being in that leadership role. They were excellent thought leaders. They were innovative. They had so many great things that they brought into the organization, and a lot of even revenue that they brought in through the ideas and the strategies that they brought into the organization. But as mentioned, I realized that no, I want to stay. So you need to decide for yourself, but whatever you decide, do not decide and stay when you're miserable, because I want you to come back to that example, to those lessons from the elastic band. When you're stretched out in terms of capacity, in terms of your emotions, in terms of feeling burnt out and miserable, we're not of value to anybody, and we might be like someone trying to tie up a sandwich with an elastic band instead of taking foil or plastic or paper. We're not effective. We're not effective to anybody, to our families, to our colleagues. We might not provide the results that we want towards the ladder that we want to grow towards. So just keep that in mind, whatever your decision, so that you can make the decision about how to navigate your ladder in the right way for you. Right. I would encourage you, if you're not 100% sure in terms of what your values are, I'd encourage you to Google might actually just go through the words, take some time, sit somewhere, take a walk, sit through with a list of words, just to help you to put it in your mind and tick down what are the top 10 from those top 10, what are the top 5? Do those top 5, am I seeing them now in how I am, in how I'm working? Am I exhibiting them? Because I can't say I like transparency or I like honesty, but if I'm the most dishonest person. You know, all of those things make us feel uncentered. So any discomforts, any uncertainty, go back to understanding, why do I feel that way? Pause, reflect, understand where you're at. Once you understand where you're at, then only then are we in a better space to understand how we navigate and move to the next step.
We got any other questions for Roz? Please feel free to unmute and ask your question, or put your hand up and or any other comments.
Thank you, Colleen.
I think you stumped them all, Roz. We've got absolute silence. Anybody?
I hope they're awake, and I hope that no one is traumatized as well. So I'm hoping it's not one with the two extremes.
Okay, we've got Zuzizwe, or Zakani, or Zuzizwe. I'm not sure your first name or last name.
Zuziwe. The last name is
There we go.
Kanye.
Okay,
Yes.
great, Zuzizwe.
Hi, Rosalind.
Hello, Zuziwe.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I think on my side, I'm always keen to have a mentor. Actually, I've learned to differentiate between a mentor and a coach. But the challenge is finding the correct mentor, because in other organizations, you find that leadership, those who are in leadership, they're just doing the mentorship just to tick that they are mentees. They have people that they're mentoring. So how do you find a good mentor? And is it fine if you find along the way that you are not maybe gelling or you are not achieving what you're expecting from that particular mentor and excuse yourself?
Fantastic question. Thank you very much for raising that. In my the first job as a management on the management development program, they assigned a coach and a mentor to each of us management graduates. And the reason was that it was a fast track program. They wanted us to be in a leadership position within 2 years. So the coach was someone who was in the department that we would get to engage with often, almost every day if needed. The mentor, we're able to look holistically and ensure that we're getting the right experiences. And we met with the mentor, I think it was once a month at that time. So that was put on the calendars, and yes, they had to do it because it was something that they would have to tick. I found that experience very helpful. And when I left my first employment, I suddenly realized that I had a gap, like what you're saying. I realized, hold on, I would like that. I would like to have a mentor. And then I thought, okay, where do I find them? And I went online, Google, asked around. The first thing that shocked me was, oh my word, I actually have to pay. I didn't realize I'd been spoiled because I was getting them through the organization at that time.
Yes,
So,
I know.
and it came back to that first question, which we're actually on right now. What are you willing to sacrifice at that time? Because I realized, hold on, this is important to me. Now, I want to touch on various questions that you raised. You raised several questions, and please let me know if I've heard the questions correctly so that I can make sure I answer them fully. I heard, where do we find the right mentors? How do we engage, make sure that we find the right mentor that we can gel with? And is it okay to step out if it is not working out? Have I got all the right questions?
Yes.
All right. So where do you find the mentors? Speak to your network. Speak out to your network. Absolutely anybody. Pose a question on any forum that you're comfortable in. Whether it is LinkedIn, if it is Facebook, if you use WhatsApp chat, ask friends for recommendations, ask your employer for recommendations. Or the best one, go up directly to the person. You've observed people. There is something that you're wanting the mentor from, something I say to you within you that, hold on, I would like a mentor. And it'll be useful if you can actually answer the question for yourself to help me move towards the following, to help me progress, enhance the following, to assist me with the following, to help me, assist me, grow me, groom me, whatever it is. What is the outcome that you want from being with that mentor? Because if you're looking for somebody to help you to, I'm going to use a simple example, to learn how to use Figma better. I'm just taking a software tool as an example. Then that narrows down the kind of assistance and support you need. So once you're able to articulate, firstly, pause, reflect, jot down 5 bullet points. Doesn't need to be an essay. What are you needing them for? Then you ask your network for those recommendations. Besides asking your network, look around you. Look in this room. Look at those people in your LinkedIn. Look at those people in your area of employment, because wherever you might be working, whether even if someone is an entrepreneur, self-employed, the people around you, there's a wealth and knowledge, and I believe there is something we can learn from each person, every single person, irrespective of their role or seniority. So those 5 bullet points, those 5 things that you want to gain from that mentor, which person might be able, which person reflects and exudes those? Then pick up the phone and ask them, I admire you, I've observed you, you seem to exhibit the following, and I would like to learn from you. Would it be possible for me to meet with you once a week for 30 minutes, or for us to do coffee so that we can work through this? And could we have an initial chat, see if maybe something could work out? Or what I tend to do as well with mentors is that I actually time box it to 6 sessions, because everyone's busy, a year is very long. So with the chief officer I mentioned, I actually asked them for 7 sessions. So 7 months, 1 session, once a month. Because for me, that is realistic, because work just gets crazy busy. It would also get very busy for them. So I felt that that would be realistic for me, and it was something that would be more achievable for them. But it depends on the person. The first conversation is always about the meeting of the minds. Could we engage? Could this work out for us? If they're not available, do not have the capacity, maybe they're not keen, maybe they're in a phase of life whereby they really are not able to share a part of themselves because they're feeling a bit run down and empty. Remember, people cannot pour from an empty cup. So just because someone says no to our request to be a mentor, please, let's not take it personally. Let's allow them to navigate whatever season they are. But ask them maybe if they can have a recommendation. They can point you to somebody else. As mentioned, also be comfortable to also ask on your networks. For example, like a LinkedIn. Hi, I'm looking for a mentor Can somebody give me some recommendations? Where I found my mentors in terms of navigating my ladder, I'm going to share with you. Firstly, I actually went via Google because I actually didn't know. The very first mentor I had, it was after I left that organization. I really did not know anybody else and my network is still very small as someone who had started, was still very young. So I went onto Google and I Googled mentors, Cape Town. And I found somebody, and then they said on their websites that the first session is free of charge because it's about finding out whether we align, whether we gel, and whether we could work together. So I thought, okay, I like that. That statement was not on the other websites I Googled. So I met with them and I liked them. And so we agreed to have the 4 sessions, etc. So that's how I went about it. And then what I did was that I paid, the payment arrangement was also that I paid per session once a month before each session. And then there was an agreement as well that if we found that the sessions were not, they had satisfied the need I had, we could end them. So there was no need for me to drive all the way to meet with him and pay for something that's not adding value to me. All right. Remember, it is your time that you're sacrificing. It might be money as well. It's also your IP. It's an opportunity. Whatever hour you're spending, whether it is in mentorship or whether it is on Netflix, it's something that's either, if it's Netflix, let it be a time to relax you. Do it without guilt. If you're sacrificing that hour to grow yourself, do it because it's going to add value to you. And the moment it's not, that's when it's very important now to go back to your value, to touch back on that value of transparency, honesty, integrity. Also having that confidence to say, I would like to thank you for the sessions. However, I do not require future sessions. It doesn't need to get ugly in how you say it. You can just say, I do not require further sessions. I trust my account is up to date since they made the last payment. Thank you, and I wish you well. And that's all right. And if they do want to ask questions about why you don't want to continue, if you're not finding value, it is still your choice whether you want to spend the 20, 30 minutes, 1 hour having a debate about why you've ended the sessions prematurely. You can also choose to honor a boundary to say that maybe I would not like to discuss further. However, I'm grateful that we were able to work through. I did gain something in the sessions, but now I've gotten what I needed. Thank you very much. All right. And what I also want to add is that even if the sessions with that person was the mentor, even if they might not be fruitful or as fruitful as you anticipated, there's something that you've gained there. Because in them not being great, it means you've learned something. I want to take you to that example of the light bulb, and you always hear it, but it's really something I always have to remind myself. When is it Thomas Edison who invented the light bulbs? And please correct me, anybody, if I'm wrong. So they say that he went through more than 10, more than 20 experiments trying to figure out how to make a light bulb. Each time it did not work. He learned something. Either he learned something about himself or how that maybe this wire does not connect with that wire. So any interaction you might have with a person, whether they're a mentor or someone that you're working with to help you do something, and especially like a mentor, it's all right. If it ends prematurely, you would have gained and learned something. So take the time to pause and reflect on that and be comfortable to move on. Another place as well, as I mentioned, online is Comensa. I think it's Comensa, which is a coaching organization of South Africa based on coach, and I think it's got it's online, and it's an online repository with links to various people who provide coaching, and they would be accredited to the organization or have a certain qualification that enables them to be listed on that website. So I went there, and one of the years I actually engaged with a coach that I'd found on that website. I contacted them, we met. I also have engaged with another coach via work. I understood they were a coach. I asked them if they could work with me. They said yes, but obviously because it was private, it's a private arrangement, then they had to bill me separately. They were not working for my employer at Old Mutual. They were actually contracted to work with somebody else, but because I knew and I liked what I'd heard from somebody else about them, I went up to them and asked them, and then I paid them separately. So sometimes as well, people are quite comfortable to assist and coach and mentor because they also want to give back. So by the same token, because I've also had people who have actually said to me, it's fine, I will give you the time. I strongly believe in paying it forward as well. So I've also agreed to mentor when it has been asked of me. So I'm not sure if I've answered and covered all of your questions in terms of where do I find coaches, how do I check that we gel, and how do I step out if it is no longer adding value to me. Have I covered everything?
Yes, thank you. You should be expecting a call soon.
No problem at all. And if there's any references that you'd like in terms of coaches and so on, I'm always happy to share the ones I've worked with. It's something I try and do every 2 years for myself, which is to get a mentor or a coach, just to make sure that I'm still on track with where I'm at. Because like a car, sometimes we think we're driving towards Joburg, but we don't realize that we've taken a wrong turn somewhere, and we need someone who's able to look down with someone with different experience, different mindset, that we actually say, I am trusting you. I'm giving you the authority to actually candidly help me out here because I think maybe I've just gone a bit off track. So yeah.
Thank
Ross,
you.
so we've had Sandra put a comment. She said, from my experience regarding finding a mentor is also about timing. Sometimes we need to be patient and eager. You get a good mentor at the right time. Sandra, and then Tundi also responded on that. She said, when a student is ready, the teacher appears. This has been so true for me throughout my career, that sometimes you will learn and have all the right support at the right time when you're ready to make the shifts too. And Tombi also sent you a comment. She says, I studied with Roz at Rhodes with Roz. So proud to be watching a fellow past student thriving in this way. Congratulations, Roz.
Oh my word, unfortunately I can't see the surname. Ntombi, which Ntombi?
Mangwani. And Tommy, put your camera on.
Hi, Call. Hi, Rod. It's so good to hear
Ntombi,
your
oh
voice.
my
It's been a while.
word, this lady is phenomenal. Inspiration, wow. I am so privileged to know her and to even call her my Facebook friend, even if we went to varsity together. We're now in different towns, but wow. I digress out of excitement. Thank you so much, Ntombi,
Thank you,
Tandy,
Roz.
Sandra. Thank you so much for the comments you've shared. Totally agree that yes, step out in confidence, be confident as well, and have a belief as well that people want to see you succeed and people want to support you, and the right mentor always put up their hand and say, yes, it's all right, I can assist you. But be confident enough to step up and put up your hand. All right.
Okay,
Covered...
Sandra says, I'm in Cape Town, just saying. And then we've got one more, I think, before we close. It says, I really need to be promoted. Ashley says, I really need to be promoted, and I'm desperate for tips on how to make it happen.
All right, I'm going to come back to that. I'm just going to make a note of that, and I'm going to come back to that in our Q&A. We're on track. We've got time for questions on our Q&A. So that's the first one I'll tackle in our Q&A. I got lots of valuable inputs from my mentor that I worked with last year, and I was able to translate that feedback and guidance into a promotion for myself end of last year. So I'm happy to share with you from that recent experience as well, or from that last promotion. All right. Sacrifice. What are you willing to struggle for? So I like that picture. It's a stolen picture from somebody's session. So unfortunately, I did not put the reference. It's not my picture, it's not my icon. So I would have liked to just give credit to the person who compiled that and articulated it, but they just did it so well. I should have put their reference there. What are you willing to struggle for? Because sometimes, even when you're young and like that chick in the picture, you have to tap into hard, to knock hard, to crack through the ceiling to get where you need to be. What might that mean? It might mean actually waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to study, because that's my reality. That was my reality as an MBA student, as a mom. I could not afford to resign from work, study full time for a year, and then go back to work. That was not my reality. My reality was I will have to sacrifice something. Was it sacrificing sleep? No, not necessarily. It meant sacrificing because I had to go to bed earlier so that I could wake up early, so that I could study at a quiet time before the kids or the family or the partner needs me. However, it meant that I had to sacrifice certain parts of my social life. I remember attending a 40th event, and at that event, I went, said hello, dropped off the present, gave a hug, and walked out. And I recall actually one of my colleagues later on saying that that was really arrogant of you to just step in and out as if you do not care about your colleagues at work. Now, keep in mind that this 40th was not during office hours. This was at a weekend. So yes, it's all right for us to support each other and our colleagues over the weekend. However, there was something I needed to sacrifice there. And for me, that was to sacrifice that social time, because I needed weekend time to catch up with my studies. And that time, even though that colleague wasn't important, I value their relationship, I showed up to acknowledge the event, but I could not stay for the 4 hours. What are you willing to sacrifice? You might be interested in gaming. You might be interested in Netflix, and I like Netflix as well. So please, I'm not shutting down Netflix or being condescending to any other things that we might do. But what are you willing to sacrifice to get where you want to go? And if it is a sacrifice, it is not forever, because I want you to just keep the image of this chick in your mind. You see, once they've broken through this egg, they've broken through. It's over. It's done. I don't have to wake up at 3 o'clock anymore to study. So yes, you sacrifice, you achieve, you move on, and you get to celebrate. So it might feel like sacrifice is a heavy, it's a negative word. It might feel like it's uncomfortable. This is outside of my comfort zone, having to do these things. But nothing fantastic, no growth is going to happen in the comfort zone, because you know everything you're doing already. It's comfortable, you know it already. In order for you to move to the next part, it's going to involve doing the things that you haven't done before, in ways you've not done before, with people you might not know before. So what does that lead me to? It leads me to the next part of one of my career examples I want to share with you. I shared with you about Toastmasters. So earlier on in my career, I used to admire the people who would speak confidently without getting terrified when they were in an auditorium with 1,000 people. And for me, I would also watch TV at times and think, how in the world does this person present so eloquently and so confidently and still tackle things that they're not prepared for at the spur of the moment? And I realized I don't want to be ordinary in how I speak. I want to be better. How can I be better? So I heard about Toastmasters, then I heard about some other public speaking courses. The public speaking course was one-on-one, sounded fantastic, except that, sure, I could not afford it. So then I've heard about Toastmasters, and I'm not being an advert in any way. I'm just sharing from my own experience. So the Toastmasters, I thought, okay, that's affordable. Okay, the Toastmasters, it means I get my own program, so I can go at my own speed, which is great because I'm a mom with a full-time job. So I don't want to be given a program whereby I have to do 200 things in 1 week, because sure, I don't have that capacity in my life. So self-paced program, I can choose which location to go to. I can choose one at a time that's convenient to me after I work and so on. So what were the sacrifices? The sacrifices was that once a week, once every fortnight, in the evenings, I could not be sitting in front of the TV. And I've got a confession to make. In those days when I initially started, there was actually generations, and it meant sacrificing generations at that time. Please do not judge me for that. Can I ask, please, if you can I'm just going to switch off my camera for just 1 second, and then I'm going to just join. Please just give me 1 second. It's just something I need to pause and do. Right. Thank you, everyone. I just got a notification that the municipality is going to be starting. I had asked a colleague, a friend in the neighborhood, to just let me know when it starts. I was just checking that the technology and the UPS and everything on my side is not going to drop us, but we're good. We're fine. All right. So in terms of the struggles for me, Toastmasters was about realizing that I am okay, but okay is not where I want to be. In order for me to be considered for the next promotion, there are certain things I need to do better. And it's coming back to that question again regarding promotion. I'm touching on it lightly, but we'll go into it in more detail. What are those things that I need to be doing better for me to be eligible for that promotion? If they look around the room and they need somebody to fill that space that I'm eyeing on my ladder that is right for me, why will they consider Roz and not that other? Is it because Roz is doing 1, 2, 3, which I needed for that role? Does she already show up doing those 1, 2, 3? Can she fill in when that person goes on leave? Can Rose actually fill in? Is she like the next likely person for that role because she's already exuding all of these traits that we need for that role? So for me, learning to speak better was one of the things I needed to address. And I'm going to actually share with you that I actually stammered and stuttered a lot. And it took me 6 months to join Toastmasters. I contacted them, I sent them an email, and I was absolutely terrified, intimidated. When I spoke to one of the people as well on the phone after I'd sent an inquiry, I was so intimidated from how well they spoke that I actually didn't join out of absolute fear. When I joined them, when I needed to do my very first speech, and the very first assignment they give you is such a simple one, I was so terrified. My knees were knocking together like this. But fortunately, it is a very supportive environment. No one laughs at you. In fact, the culture of Toastmasters, if I may share with you, is that when somebody is new and they're doing their very, very first speech at Toastmasters, it's considered their most difficult simply because they're standing up to do it in front of people. They get a standing ovation from everybody in the room, no matter how it went, because that first speech is not about how excellent, how articulate, or how they, used that word or that image, whatever. So I had to sacrifice. Yes, I sacrificed a bit of money. I'm going to share with you that at that time, I was also supporting family, because I was fortunate in I got a scholarship that funded my tertiary, my university. And I was the first graduate in my family. So I was supporting other family members. So now the demands became even bigger and bigger and bigger. And I realized, hold on, I really want to continue growing myself. I don't want to sacrifice Toastmasters and all these other pastimes. I actually cut off my hair. And if you can all see my hand, it's smooth. I cut off my hair until it was smooth, and I thought, great, I've solved that problem. Now I don't need to worry about going to the hair salon. I've sacrificed the cost for the season where I'm navigating all these additional family costs, where I don't have time, where I'm losing out on time because now I'm going to Toastmasters, so I don't get to spend as much time with the kids on that evening. Now I've got one less thing to worry about whilst I'm busy with my masters. I don't need to worry about waking up to comb hair. And you know what? That freed me up. And you might say, yeah, but fine, it only gave you 5 minutes. Yes, it gave me 5 minutes. And for the ladies in the room who might go to hair salons, it freed up the budget quite well. But it comes back to, what are you willing to sacrifice for that season? And sometimes those things might not be comfortable. Yes, I know people who really had a good time laughing at me when I was bald. Apparently they said it didn't suit me. But I liked it. But I digress. What I want to just share with you is I need you to go back and ask yourself, with where you're at in your career right now, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to break out of the current shell that you're in? Because for a chick to grow out of the current, that egg, that shell, it needs to break out. That breaking out does not come with a gentle tap. It sometimes comes with that hard knock, and I'm not sure if the sound comes through, but you need to break out. What are you willing to sacrifice? What discomfort are you willing to endure? What sweat are you willing to put in order to get what you want? Because only you know, but you need to have an honest conversation with yourself. And then if you're not willing to put in that work, then you need to be comfortable with the outcome that you'll get. So come back to a simple example, because I can imagine a lot of us have studied something before. If I don't study for something, if I don't put in the hours, I can't expect to be getting a first-class pass unless if maybe, hey, you're one of those geniuses. But what I put in is what I might get out. So I might have to sacrifice some hours and use those for studying in order to get the outcome I desire. Right, we've already addressed that. We touched on timing previously, and I liked how, unfortunately, I cannot see the chat right now, but somebody, I'm not sure if it was Sandra, somebody else phrased it well, in that sometimes the timing, when you step out, and when you step out and you put up your hand, the timing, trust it, trust things to work out for you. Have a positive mindset that things are going to work out, and if they're not, it's just something that you need to navigate, because just because the ladder is not going this way, it's going to go that way, but there is something that you're learning as you navigate it. When we come to timing as well, it means that you also have to be comfortable with the timing and the way life is also transpiring for you. So, for example, someone might have chosen to have children when they were 20. I've got a friend who's got a child. She's my age. Her child has just completed university. My children are my eldest is only in high school, has only just started high school. So there is different things in our timing that differ from an individual perspective. And sometimes that individual timing also impacts on our career and how we navigate the ladder. For example, someone else was able to take on that role, that senior promotion, which I turned down because they were done with having babies. Whereas for me at that time, I was still very much nursing a child, and that was my season in life. So trust the timing, but be comfortable. I come back again. Pause, reflect, know yourself, know your values, so that you can be comfortable with the decisions you make and their impact on how you navigate the ladder. The last thing you would want to be doing, I believe, is to be choosing something that contradicts your values, because you're going to take it because I really want it, but it doesn't fit in with your values. It doesn't fit in with your time. It doesn't fit in with your lifestyle. You struggle, you get burnt out. And then that's when you find people sometimes dropping out of a program halfway. For example, MBA, it's got a hectically high dropout rate. You find people dropping out sometimes of certain things in life, because sure, it all got too much, became unmanageable. Maybe there wasn't the right support. Timing is all about ensuring that this is the right thing at the right time. Sometimes those elements are not going to magically appear. Sometimes I need to actually find the elements so the timing is great. What's an example? During the time, after going through the various conversations with a coach and even with ICAS, I realized that as a full-time mom, as a full-time employee, doing an MBA, managing a big program, which was a critical strategic program at that time, which had legislative impacts. So we could not afford to miss the go-live date whatsoever. Otherwise, there would be multi-million-dollar penalties, etc. I realized I need extra help with the children, because during the weekend, my helper would go away. I had a helper in the home with the children who stayed with us. During the weekends, she would go away. But I realized that during the weekends, I can't cope with sweeping and cleaning and feeding and doing the dishes and then also engaging and playing with the child after trying to study and wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I realized I needed the support over the weekend. So then I asked my helper the question. I told her, listen, I've got this scenario. I'm considering getting somebody to work the weekends. I just thought I would tell you openly. And you know what she said to me? She said to me at that time, thank you for sharing with me. The truth is that I don't like going to my brother's place over the weekend. It just feels like, I don't like my sister-in-law, whatever personal issue they had at that time. I don't mind working the weekends if you pay me the money instead of paying someone else. I'm like, but you will need a break sometime. I'm concerned that you'd be working 7 days a week, whatever. She was like, no, we don't do ironing. I just play with the children. And then I just help with small bits. And then remember, sometimes you go out with the children on Saturdays. So I'll get to rest. But yeah, we'll just keep it easy. And then you go to church. I'll go to church on Sunday as well. So we just agree that it's not major cleaning. It's just the light touches in the home. And that worked for 7 years, that arrangement. It's not to say that the relationship was perfect. We all humans, I'm not perfect. She wasn't perfect as a helper. But what I'm saying is that the timing for that season, it supported me, but it came up with having to be aware of what I needed. Interconnectedness, we've already touched on this, but I'm going to emphasize it. This pulls everything together for the mentor that you want, for that timing to work out, for you to have a coach, for you to be the coach, for you to be the mentor, for you to find the mentor. It comes back to being connected, working with other people, reaching out to other people, being available to support other people, and also being comfortable to have difficult conversations with the people you trust, and sometimes also with the people that you might not be comfortable with. Why? Because there's something to be learned there. Interconnectedness is something that helps us to get the support that we need in order sometimes to be considered for the next promotion. Why? Because if someone doesn't know that we're interested in that next role, they might just consider X, Y, and Z who had put up their hands last year when they were not aware that you were also interested in being part of the list. Interconnectedness allows us to be supporting and working together. It doesn't mean I have to give away absolutely everything of myself, no, but it means that, I think like the word Ubuntu, it means that we're aware that we grow when we work together, when we teamwork together, when we assist and we support each other. So for myself, it's always been critical that I am supporting someone somewhere. And at the same time, how I also do that is that I really am a strong believer in charity. So I do my birthday parties at children's homes. I don't post it on social media because it's not for social media. It's not for social media consumption. I post my races and my marathons on social media without fail. But the things I do for my charity in terms of giving back, my birthdays, I mention it right now because it's me connecting with the community, because that's one thing I cannot connect with when I'm doing my races. I cannot connect with that in the corporate environment because my corporate is financial services. So we do community support at certain intervals, for example, Mandela Day. But as something that is valuable to me, I reach out. There's a small children's home where I take old clothes, where I also do, whenever I celebrate my birthday, my first celebration is there with them, because they're people who do not owe me anything, but I want to support them. I want to encourage them. I want to inspire them. Plus, I realize that I'm also able, I have become a network that connects them to other places. Why? Because by just supporting the children's home in that simple way, when my employer, Old Mutual, actually mentioned one time that they are looking for suggestions on children's homes or old age homes that we could support for Mandela Day, and they asked us to bring the documents, etc. I was actually able to go back to the children's home and say, hey, please send through your documentation, registration numbers, everything to the following email address at my employer, and they will let us know if we can actually do one of our Mandela Day initiatives there. So for me, that was really fantastic. But it comes back to that interconnectedness. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because we think of the ladder and connections and network as linked in. It's not there. It doesn't end there. Just as much as we want other people, those senior people, to be pulling us up in their connections, we must also be pulling others up and also be support to others as well. I have very much come to the end of my pack, and I'll be very keen on the chat if you could please take the time to share with me if there's any commitment, action, or anything that has stood out for you from this almost 2 hours that we've spent together. Unfortunately, I might have let you down on one bit, which was that would finish way before 11. I'm basically done, but it is not as early as I thought we would be done. I thought we might be finishing 10:30ish, but we had set up the time up until 11. Thank you, Colleen. So please, in the chat, I'd be very keen to know if there was anything that resonated with you. But more than that, I'm also very keen to know if, as part of navigating and climbing your ladders, if there's anything, any nugget, any insight, idea, thought, or suggestion that you could share to help everyone else in this room to help them move towards their right ladders. I really welcome that, because I really believe we can support and assist each other. So please share that in the chat. And then the reason why I use the word commitment is because you really are committing only to yourself. It's a promise that you're making to yourself, not to anybody else. No one owes you a promotion or a move up the right ladder. It's something that you might want to do for yourself. So that commitment and that promise you make, it's to yourself to transform your reality, to transform your tomorrow. Because the only thing that can change tomorrow is you, how you do things, and the actions that you take towards it. So in terms of questions, I'm going to touch on that promotion one, and I've already spoken to it already. So I'm just going to emphasize maybe 5 points again. The 5 points are, what are the promotion that you would like? Is there somebody filling that space already? What are they doing? And how do you compare your skills in terms of their skills? If there's any gap there, see how you can start working towards closing that gap. For example, I'm going to use a very simplistic example. If you've got excellent Microsoft Excel skills, maybe go and do a Udemy over the weekends to start brushing up and enhancing your skills towards that, and then trying to use that to assist people in the office so that your team members can also see that you're able to actually, that you've got those skills. Ensure that you speak out to the people who do the promotion so that they know that you would like to be considered. And lastly, tell them openly that you are seeking a promotion, that you're hungry for growth. Why? That's passion. And I love working with people who've got passion, who want to grow. And even if we're feeling low, bored, frustrated, that is a feeling, that is an energy. That energy can be translated into a passion. It means that there's something there. That's something, that boredom, that frustration. Take hold of it and you can move it into something positive towards the career ladder that you would like. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because that is the end for me. What I do want to encourage you, and why I use the picture that you're seeing on the slide right now, it's a slide of a petri dish. It's an experiment. And it comes back to my point about the right ladders. The right ladders sometimes is something you need to navigate, an experiment, a learning journey that you navigate. And with experiments, it's just that. You try something, learn something, try something, learn something, try something, learn something, try, learn, grow, 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 moving towards your right ladder. So I encourage you to really consider enjoying navigating your ladders. Enjoy the experiment. Enjoy experimenting because you're going to be learning something. Because every time you risk something, you learn something. Thank you very much, Colleen, for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can see the chat, and then I'm open to any questions until our time is up. Thank you, Wade. Thank you, everybody, for the comments. I'm checking the chat. Colleen, I'm scrolling through. You might have seen, if I've seen any other questions, if you've seen any questions that I might have missed whilst I'm scrolling through, please feel free to flag them to me.
Yeah, there weren't questions as such, but comments around, especially the emphasis that you put on values and really hammering those back, appreciated, and just all fantastic comments. The one I thought was quite important is that basically you've confirmed, I can't remember who it was that said, you've confirmed I'm in the right place. Let me just see, you have confirmed that Gazella says, you have confirmed that I am where I am meant to be for now, and as I continue to head towards my dream. I thought that was quite a wonderful comment.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really do appreciate that.
Are there any other questions for Roz before we close the session? No? Well, Roz, as you can see from the chats, it's been a phenomenal session. So we really appreciate the time that you've taken to be with us this morning. I know you thought you were only going to be with us for an hour or so, But I mean, just the nuggets you shared and everything have really, really been a great inspiration. So I really appreciate also the practical tools that you've given to each one to actually take home. So thank you so much for being with us this morning. I did put it in the chat, but if anybody wants to re-listen to what Rose spoke about, visit the Business Engage YouTube channel. Always after the sessions, we load up the video so you can go back and go and listen. So take your time, go and listen, make your notes. And Roz, I'm sure you're going to have lots of connections on LinkedIn. I don't know how many hours you've got for mentoring and coaching. But I think
I would love to connect via LinkedIn. Thank you so much, for having me.
Thank you so much, everyone, also for joining us. The next event is on the 1st of August. It's our Africa panel. So look on the Business Engage website for the details of that. And Roz and everybody, have the most awesome day. Really appreciate having this wonderful session with you, Roz.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye now.